William S. Burroughs was born in 914 and died in 1997. A central writer of the Beat generation. The son of a wealthy family, he studied at Harvard and in Europe. Heroin addiction marked his work and his life. While drunk and playing a stupid game, he killed his wife, who was also an alcoholic and addict. She left behind 2 children, one of whom was their son. He fled and spent 25 years outside the U.S., living in New York, Paris, Tangier, and Mexico. Naked Lunch is a landmark of beat literature and counterculture, revolutionizing modern prose with its fragmented structure, raw language, and transgressive themes. The work challenges narrative and social conventions. Naked Lunch was edited by friends Kerouac and Ginsberg and published in 1959, was censored and sued for obscenity. Only years later did the court overturn the ban. Naked Lunch style. Non-linearity. The book is a series of disconnected vignettes, moving from grotesque scenes in Interzone, a dystopian city, to bureaucratic satires. Language. Mixes addict slang, medical jargon, and pornography, creating a collage effect that mimics the mental disorder of addiction. Tone. Alternates between the absurdly comical, Dr. Benway, an incompetent surgeon, and the horrific, with graphic violence. Addiction and control. Chemical dependency is metaphorized as social control. Burroughs portrays governments and corporations as addicted to power, drawing a parallel between chemical and political addiction. The phrase, "drugs are a perfect product, they create their own demand," is a criticism of capitalism and the pharmaceutical industry. Interzone represents a post-moral world where sex, violence, and power intermingle. Freedom versus authority. Burroughs satirizes systems of control, police, medicine, media, portraying them as absurd oppressors. Sexuality and taboos. Scenes of homoeroticism and sexual violence challenge the morality of the time, exposing desires repressed by society. Burroughs used collages of random texts to deconstruct linear narratives, reflecting the fragmentation of perception under the influence of drugs. This technique would later be used by rock artists, such as David Bowie, to compose lyrics. Naked Lunch is a distorted mirror of society, blending nightmare and satire. Burroughs offers no answers, but forces the reader to confront the darker sides of the human condition. His work remains relevant as a critique of surveillance, consumerism, and repression, anticipating 21st-century debates. Queer, written in the 1950s but only published in 1985, and Junkie, 1953, are 2 semi-autobiographical novels that explore themes such as addiction, marginality, sexuality, and existential maladjustment. The poem, The Last Words of Hassan Saba, is an enigmatic and provocative piece that reflects many of the central themes of the author's work, including control, language, power, and subversion. The poem is composed of short, striking sentences, many of them repeated like mantras or commands. The fragmented structure recalls the cut-up and collage techniques typical of Burroughs' style. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. This verse sums up the philosophy of nihilism and radical liberation. Burroughs uses it to question power structures and dogmas. If nothing is true, all authority is arbitrary. If everything is permitted, morality is a construct to be dismantled. I am the guardian of the threshold. Hassan Saba is presented as a threshold figure, a guardian of a space between worlds or states of consciousness. This echoes Burroughs' interest in hallucinogenic experiences and altered states. The word is a virus. A recurring theme in Burroughs. Language as a parasite that controls thought. The repetition of phrases, "do not talk," "do not listen," suggests that communication is a form of contagion and control. Burroughs used rifles to shoot paint at canvases or other media, creating explosive, random patterns. He would place paint cans in front of the canvases and fire at them, causing the paint to splatter chaotically. This technique reflected his fascination with controlled accidents, violence, and creative destruction. Many of his paintings incorporated cutout text, symbols, and overlapping images, referring to his fragmented writing method. He also used stamps, stencils, and automatic writing to add layers of meaning. Influenced by his artist friend Brion Gysin, Burroughs began painting more intensively in the 1980s and 1990s, and his works were exhibited in galleries in New York. His visual art was less known than his literature, but gained recognition as part of the postmodern punk movement and the underground scene. Burroughs's paintings were visual extensions of his writing, chaotic, subversive, and full of hidden meanings, reflecting his unique vision of art, control, and freedom.